everybody, welcome to Brick Vault. Today I have the pleasure of presenting to you the 1969 Corvette Stingray 427. This beautiful and very large Lego MOC was designed by the talented builder David Slater and is made up of almost exactly 1,500 parts. The Corvette remains one of the most recognizable sports cars just by name, and the Stingray is one of the most easily noticeable with those wavy wheel wells as kind of its signature look. Now I really love this car and I can't wait to get into the closer details of this model, but very quickly I do want to say that we do sell the instructions for this MOC at our web store, brickvault.toys. Included is a PDF instructions file as well as XML file, which helps you order the parts very easily online. Each purchase helps support the channel as well as the talented designers that go into making these MOCs. Okay, now let's get back into the build. That sleek and wavy look that we get over the wheel wells as well as the pointed nose of the car really is reminiscent of a sea creature. Originally, the concept car that became the Stingray was called the Mako Shark, and that thing had an even pointier nose and more pronounced waves. But Chevrolet sort of toned the look down a little bit, gave it a way cooler name, and very much kept that sort of sea creature look to the vehicle. Heck, even Corvette is the name of a small and fast naval ship. So right from this car's inception, it has been designed to look like something, a creature that could glide and easily cut through the water. Even the side vents of the car are made to look just like gills, and I love that with the increased size of this MOC, Dave decided to include those cheese wedge pieces that mimic the chrome sleeves. I guess the original designers of this car liked the look of those so much that they wanted to draw even more attention to it as you drove by. Now, once again, very much like the Stingray creature itself, the eyes on that animal are hardly noticeable, and you can see that there are no exposed headlights. There's no eyes on the car. Well, just like the model in real life, the headlamps can pop up in the front, and the trans clear 2x2 rounded bottom parts are just about the perfect piece to imitate those big round headlights that pop up, two each on either side. The function itself is really solid, lots of friction, so the things aren't going to be falling down on accident, and nor will there be too much friction to the point where you can't open them at all. And some might say that is even an improvement on the car's original design. Now, at this point, I can't really describe any more of the specific details of the car without first saying that this isn't just a stock version of the Corvette Stingray 1969, but this vehicle has actually been kitted out a bit, which totally makes sense. If Dave the designer is building one of his dream cars, why not get it with all the bells and whistles that you want? So when we move just above the headlights and we take a closer look at the hood, the middle kind of bumps out a bit. It's not perfectly flat and smooth like maybe some of the other models are, and that's because the hood has what's called a power bulge. Remember, this is the Corvette 427. The 427 it stands for the cubic inches of what the size of the engine. This has a larger engine than what the standard Corvette Stingray had. So this bulge functions to fit the larger engine, and you can also see right towards the front that we have that one big scoop in the center. Comparing it to this image here, you sort of get an idea of what that scoop is supposed to look like. It's a pretty deep one, and well, while we're here, why don't we just pop the hood and see what's inside? This is what's called a big block engine, probably the L88 or maybe the LZ1. Doesn't really matter. It's an awesome build. We've got a fan, the very recognizable circular bit that is the air filter housing, as well as plenty of hoses and other things inside the hood. Also, I do think it is worth pointing out that yes, the hood does indeed open up like this in the 1969 Corvette. And here's just a fun fact for you. A model like this with an engine like this would be able to accelerate from 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds, and I believe make the top 10 list for fastest accelerating production cars of the 1960s. Now moving on with more of the custom details. From the profile of the car, you can see that large exhaust, the side pipe sticking out from underneath the door, and that's what's called the Patriot side exhaust. I don't believe that came standard on the car, but it looks pretty cool. And while we're here, I want to show you guys what I think is the coolest movable function in the Corvette, and that is the design for the door. It of course can open and close, but it's not quite as simple as just a regular hinge because Dave wanted the door to be just perfectly flush with the body. It has this extra bit of motion where you pull the door out away from the body first, and then the hinge can work. That's not exactly how the door is opened, of course, on the regular model, but it is super satisfying being able to match up the lines of the bricks just perfectly so the sides are completely flush. Now that we're playing around with the doors, it's worth taking a look at the interior. There's lots of details included here. It's nearly all black on the insides, and I gotta say, the instructions did come with a black steering wheel, but I kind of wanted to just break it up a little bit with the gray. And if you look closely, you can see the microphone piece for the shifter. There is a handbrake, 5 different dials, 2 on top, 3 on the bottom, just like in the actual interior of the Corvette, and even 3 pedals, clutch, gas, and brake. The styling for the seats are really nice. You can see that they kind of dip in a little bit in the center. It looks really realistic. There's a little bit of posability to the seats as well. They kind of just pop forward and back just a tiny bit. Now, as a technicality, I kind of ripped off some extra Lego pieces just to give you guys a better look at the inside. But the 1969 Corvette Stingray did have a convertible top. Some can be outfitted with the cloth ones, but this is what's called a classic T-top, and that's where you can just remove 2 different side panels on the roof of the car. And it's called a T-top because it makes that little chrome T along the top of the windshield and the brace in the center. Mike had actually built this set on live stream, so I wasn't even aware that the T-top was built into the model until I was sort of playing around with it after the fact. You can see that it was built in a way where you're supposed to be able to very easily take the roof panels off, just like in the actual model of the car. That's a lot of fun. So up until now, I've been completely neglecting the back detailing of this car. There's a lot of really fun things that have gone on here. First, you can see that the paint job has made its way all the way around the butt, and that white really contrasts quite well with the red lights. Also, you can see there that those circular lights are kind of emboldened by what's called a turntable piece, which is basically just an old ratcheted joint type of brick, but it does a wonderful job outlining those little round tiles. That 2x2 round tile on the top is actually the gas cap, which you might think looks pretty big for just a gas cap, but that is how it looked on the original model. Really big and totally chrome. By the way, if you couldn't tell, anything that you see here in light gray, in essence, should be a completely chromed out bit of detailing. So that goes for the wonderful bit of building that makes up the back bumper, the front bumper, Patriot exhaust, side mirror, antenna, everything that you see, all of that would be chromed out if this was sort of a perfect world. Technically, you can get parts chromed if you want to, and I have the feeling that it would make a model as good as this one really stand out against the crowd. Now you can see I'm handling the Corvette now. I'd like to pick up the models and just show you guys how sturdy these things are. Some are more delicate than others, and you might be able to guess, but this one is pretty darn solid. The base of this build has quite a bit of Technic on the inside. It's totally plated over at the bottom. Those side doors do like to kind of like shuffle out of place a little bit if you hold the model on its side, but in reality, most of what looks really solid on the body totally is. I would say try not to pick up the model by maybe the small gray bumpers on the front and back. Also, the roof is meant to be removed easily, so yeah, grabbing it from the very center might break some pieces off, but I'm really glad that you can pick the model up with one hand by any of the corners of the wheels. It's a really solid bit of work, and it's probably one of the sturdiest Lego cars that we currently have in the studio. That being said, let's check it out next to a lot of the other Lego creator cars. This is the closest line of sets that would imitate or mimic or just be kind of in the same realm as a build like this. And you can see without too much of a contest that this thing is way bigger actually than the rest of the builds, and it absolutely earns its place as one of the top display models within our larger subsection of cars that we have in the studio. Now, coming up to the end of the video, once again, the instructions for this set are at our web store, www.brickvault.toys, and with each purchase comes a PDF file for the instructions as well as an XML file for easy ordering. And if you enjoy our content, feel free to like or subscribe. If you've got any ideas on another Lego custom mock you want to see us do in the future, let us know in the comments section below. All right, that's it. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time at Brick Vault.